So what I'm doing is basically I'm quickly going through Paul's videos and I'm visually cutting out the crap that I don't need, right? Now what I want to show you is this.
And I discovered that the BIOS that was pre-installed was an older version. It does have a button for it to enable. And this particular
when Paul is speaking in the video, he kind of like, he pauses, he thinks about what he's about to say, and then pretty much, you know, he repeats himself, right?
Particular motherboard does have a button for it to enable. And this particular motherboard has a button features. Gigabytes is called Q-Flash Plus, and this particular motherboard does have a button for it to enable. And this particular motherboard has a button.
All right, so as you can see here, he kind of like, you know, pauses and like, you know, regains his thoughts and then, you know, repeats himself, right? So if we zoom in here, this is what I want to show you is basically something you want to learn to practice to help you edit a lot faster is to like use the visual information and the waveforms, right? If you're the type that likes to edit like this, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. This is where Paul like stops, you know, takes a breath, then pretty much he repeats himself, right?
A button for it to enable. And this particular motherboard has a button to enable. However, once I download, and this particular motherboard has a button to enable.
All right, so he starts off the sentence with saying, and this particular motherboard. Now, if we zoom in here, I want to pay attention to like the waveforms.
And this particular motherboard has a.
And this particular, and so on and so forth. You can see that you've got three waves, like three little spikes here, right, when you start speaking.
And this particular
And this part, you know, there's three spikes. Now, if we look back over here in this area, I'm gonna make a cut just so you guys to separate it. You can see here, 1, 2, 3. Guess what? It's the same shit from what he says over here.
And this particular motherboard does have a button for. And this particular motherboard has a button. And this particular motherboard does have a button. And this particular motherboard.
Now the reason why I'm showing you this is basically because over time and with practice, like as you start to edit more, like you kind of like start to see like the similarities and like the waveform patterns when someone is speaking, right? When you see like the waveforms, like the way how they're created, depending on what the person is saying, you kind of like have to learn to like match them. That way, like when you're doing like your rough cut, you know where to go and how to like make the cut, right? You know, if they make a mistake or they're paused or they pretty much, you know, they want to like repeat themselves, you know how to like to make the cut in a visual manner because it's a lot easier for you to see the waveforms as they are created. Then you make your edit, you put them together, you know, and there you go. And it's almost like nothing happened. So this is another thing I do when I'm editing pause videos. Like, say in this case, there's like a pause here.
Booted up the system with that button. It blinked for a while until the system.
All right, before I make my cut, you know, at first this is something I did a lot. It's like, all right, he stops here, so I cut out this gap. Before I do that, I actually move forward a little bit to like the next area where you see like another gap. So I listen to that area to see if he repeats himself, because or else, you know, I'm more editing this area, make a cut, you know, delete this.
It blinked for a while until the system.
Then I go to this part.
It blinked for a while, then eventually.
You're like, oh shit, he repeats himself, right? So that'd be like a total waste, right? So what I do is like I listen.
And booted up the system with that button. It blinked for a while until the system shut down.
Then I click over here.
It blinked for a while, then eventually the system shut down. Then I connected up. It blinked for a while.
You kind of messed up again there, right? All right, so in that case, like, you know, that's something you have to do also to help you save some time. It's like when there's like a part of like the audio where you notice that he stops or she stops or whoever is speaking stops, like make your cut there, like in this case.
And booted up the system with that button.
So I make my cut there, right? So now I listen over here.
It blinked for a while until the system shut.
I don't listen to the whole thing. I just hear like the first thing he says. It blinked for a while, so then I go to this station over here.
It blinked for a while, then eventually the system.
All right, so I hear the same thing. It blinked for a while, then I move over to this section over here.
It blinked for a while, and then the system shut.
All right, he says the same thing. It blinked for a while, then I move over here.
If you're giving a lot of thought.
So he stops, right? He doesn't repeat himself. So I know that this area right here, this is good. And this area right here is bad, so I'm gonna delete that. We don't need that.
And booted up the system with that button. It blinked for a while, and then the system shut down, and then upon restart.
So obviously it doesn't sound good quite yet, but this is what I'm doing with rough cuts, right? That's what I'm doing. It's like I'm just quickly going through everything, you know, cutting out like the bad mistakes that he makes, you know, little fuck-ups. And then like, you know, once that's done, then I go back, then I do like the fine tuning where I just like trim everything down and then add like the transitions to make it sound more even, right? All right, cool. So hopefully that video was helpful and, you know, you see how like the benefit of learning how to edit with audio. can be a massive time saver, right? Especially in the early parts of editing, when you're doing the rough cuts and all that stuff. That's a massive time saver because you know exactly where to cut out. Especially when there's areas that are silenced, they stop speaking. That's obviously an area where you need to cut out because it's not needed, right? Because you don't need silence in your edits, right? But yeah, so that's basically it. Like I said, if this is something you kind of learn to develop over time, like you kind of know where to make your cut even before like listening to the audio, which is kind of cool. That's something you're gonna develop over time, right? So like definitely, practice. As you notice in the video, my timeline is usually pretty big, right? I always expand the waveforms as big as I can so I can like see them visually, and then I edit in that manner, right? Anyways, that's all I got for you. I hope the video helps out. Definitely leave a like and leave a comment if you guys have any questions and all that stuff. And if you guys enjoyed the video and if it helped you out, there'll be a link in the description with my PayPal link. If you guys want to hook it up with a coffee, if you guys do that, then I do appreciate it. It does help me out. But either way, I'm going to continue making these videos because I do enjoy making these videos to help you out. Thank you so much. Take care and peace.